Hey guys, Dave and Ashley here live from the minivan, doing a little bit different kind of video this time. As we're making this, Prince Harry and Meghan just did a big interview with Oprah.
They did.
A lot of folks are talking about it, and we're not jumping on this kind of bandwagon of like, let's talk about the royals, but we're trying to look at what's happening in culture and then bringing it back to a discussion about marriage. What can we learn about how to have better marriages in our own lives? And we thought that Meghan and Harry shared some things that can really be very helpful principles for marriage, because really, you know, their struggles look a little different just because they're part of the royal family.
Yeah.
But when you break it all down, it's the same stuff that every couple deals with, just on a different kind of scale. And so we want to talk about a few of the things. And first off, just the dynamics of marrying into a family.
Yeah.
And then when you feel like you're not, well, sweetie, you just dive in. There's so much we can talk about. We'll do a few different segments.
Yes, there is. So one thing Oprah said was, when you marry the person, you also marry the family. And in this instance, we're talking the royal family. And not only that, but they also come from different cultural backgrounds. You know, Meghan is, you know, they're technically a biracial couple. They have some different races in the mix there. And that is something that, you know, in today's age, we see a lot more of this. This is much more common to us, but in the royal family, this was not. And so that was something that became an issue. And it actually, and this was like groundbreaking. This was probably the big thing that's going to be in the tabloids. And it was, you know, they were talking about how when they were pregnant with their first child, how you know, they were a little bit concerned with how dark is this child going to be, and how hurtful, like, if that even mattered. Like, why does that even matter?
So hurtful.
And I'm sure maybe it wasn't meant that way, but that is so hurtful, because it's like, what does it matter what they look like? I mean, this is our child.
Well, what is particularly striking is what Meghan shared with us earlier, is that no one wants to admit that there's anything about race, or that race has played a role in the trolling and the vitriol. And yet, Meghan shared with us that there was a conversation with you about Archie's skin tone.
And so that part really got me. And I thought, you know, it was really sweet. And here's the marriage point, is that, you know, Harry, this was something that a family member, and you could tell it really hurt him deeply, and he didn't want to disclose the person and throw them under the bus, but it was one of Harry's family members, obviously. And he told her about it because he knew this was something that would potentially be discussed, and he wanted to kind of give her the heads up. And I felt like it was very kind that Harry, you know, he's standing up for his wife and her heritage and their child's heritage. And I think in families, we've got to be willing to do that. We need to especially with our own family, if they're saying some things that are very hurtful, we need to be able to say, hey, that's not okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to, and we talk about this a lot on the Naked Marriage podcast.
Yes.
That you have to defend your spouse, sometimes even against your own family of origin, because your first loyalty, the moment you get married, your first loyalty is now to your spouse.
Right.
And it has to be that way.
Yeah.
And if your own family, your own parents, even within their mind, distorted as it may be, they think they have good intentions in protecting you. But if they're doing something to harm your spouse or offend your spouse or come between you and your spouse, then you need to be the one to say, I'm going to protect my spouse. They're my first loyalty. And I'm going to set ground rules to protect them and to protect you know, our sacred family unit.
I think we've done, I'm really proud of us, you know. I'm so proud of my wife. Like, she safely delivered Archie during a period of time which was so cruel and so mean.
So I do think that that's something that we can learn. And I mean, I actually, you know, applaud the big decisions that they made to say, we're going to do whatever it takes to protect our marriage and our family.
Yes, because that's important.
That's important, while still trying to have a good relationship with,
and to support the family. I mean, it's the royals, they talked about, they use different words that we in America, we don't know what they're talking, like the institution or the firm. Like, they use all these different words, but basically saying, you know, this is an institution that's been going on for centuries, and they want to support the queen. I mean, that's his grandmother. He wants to support her. So this isn't like he doesn't love his family or he's trying to throw his family under the bus, but, you know, this is who he loves, and we want to support our spouse. And one thing you can say to your family, if they're giving you trouble about anything, whatever it is their family, you know, your spouse's family heritage, the color of their skin, their opinions, whatever it is. It could be political. I mean, we had a lot of that recently. Yeah. You need to say, listen, I get it that you have your opinions, some that are very wrong. I mean, racism, my goodness, like, we could go on for days about this, but you know, we need to go to our family in the most loving way possible and say, this is not okay. This is who I love. And can you love her and respect her, or respect him, love him, because I do. You may not understand them. You may have some different opinions on things, but this is who I love. I need you to treat them with respect.
Yeah. And respect is the minimum requirement.
Right.
And
I mean,
if
exactly.
that at least isn't being met. If your spouse feels unsafe because of how they're being treated by your parents, then, you know, you
Right. And
might need to make
she
some of
literally
those
did.
yeah, drastic actions, you know,
Right.
if you feel unsafe or unsupported in those kind of ways. And so, yeah, the main lesson here, and Jimmy Evans has a great teaching on this called the Law of Priority in his book, The Four Laws of Love, that the way God designed it, you know, your relationship with your spouse has to be the priority above all other human relationships, including your parents, everybody else. And that's just the way God designed it. And if we get that out of balance, the marriage is never going to be in balance.
That's right.
And this is, in some ways, just the beginning for us. You know, we've been through a lot. It's felt like a lifetime. A lifetime.
So your story with the prince does have a happy ending.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really
Yeah.
did.
It has a happy ending because you made it so.
Yeah, greater than any fairy tale you've ever read. Yeah.
Greater than any fairy tale.
Yes.
So probably one of the most poignant parts of this interview with Oprah, and I could tell Oprah was surprised by this, at just how honest Meghan was, but she shared that with all of the tabloids and the you know, lack of protection, so to speak, physical and emotional and reputation wise from the royal family, that Meghan at one point said she didn't know if she wanted to live, and that she went to Harry with it. And actually that day they had to go to a big event, and he even told her, being compassionate, a compassionate husband, he said, you don't need to go to this. I mean, gosh, stay home. And she looked at him and she said, I can't be alone because I don't know what I'm going to do, essentially. And it was a very poignant moment and an honest moment. And I'm glad that Meghan Markle was willing to shed some light on this, because so many people, including us, I mean, we went through a time when I was depressed and I had dark thoughts like that, and I came to you with them. And I want to commend this couple on being honest about it. I think it's great that Meghan went to Harry. She didn't try to fix it on her own. She didn't try to hold it in, and she shared it with her husband. And I want to commend Harry on being willing to support her in this, whatever that looked like and whatever she needed, you know. And you don't always have to have the right words to say, but I think just saying, like, I'm here for you. I want to do whatever I can to support you and to help you get help. You know, that's key. And I know one tragedy of this is that Meghan did reach out for help to the family, and being part of the royal family, I think there's protocol and these kind of things, and basically was told, everybody goes through this, you know, just kind of deal with it. And I think another reason why, you know, why kind of things are the way they are right now with Meghan and Harry trying, you know, kind of separating themselves a little bit, is because they weren't, you know, the family or the institution, whoever, you know, they weren't providing help when help was needed. And that's heartbreaking.
It is, but you have to be willing to talk, which it did
Yeah.
take courage to talk. And, you know, again, Ashley shared a lot of her testimony with this, you know, on a, even some scale, I've dealt with this,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
from the time we got COVID and on, it kind of, but the bottom line is you have to talk
With
about
anxiety,
these things.
yeah.
You have to talk if you're dealing with anxiety, depression, and certainly if you're dealing with suicidal thoughts,
Oh,
you need to
yes.
reach out and get help. And, you know, one thing I thought that was really profound that Harry said that challenged me as a husband is he made the comment that, like, his primary objective for every decision he was making is the safety of my wife and family.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about safety and being able to make enough money to provide security and all this
Mm-hmm.
thing. Most of us don't have to worry about that. You know, we're not being chased by
By
crazy paparazzi and all
paparazzi.
that. You know, but still that same principle applies, that our primary objective needs to be, I want to make sure my spouse and our family is safe, that our home is a safe place, which means we're all getting the help we need, mentally, physically, spiritually. We're all getting the help that we need to be taken care of, and we all feel secure and heard and loved. And if those things aren't happening, or if we
Right.
feel unsafe or unsteady in any way, then we're going to drastically realign things to make sure that we can have that kind of security.
And, you know, speaking about money, I know sometimes, and even our son, our oldest son, when we were watching this, he came in, he's almost 16, and he was like, I mean, how do they have problems? They have all this money, all this fame. And I'm like, sweetie, listen, there's not all the money in the world, all the fame in the world that could solve any problem. In fact, it often brings more problems on you. And I know some people watching this, you're probably like, oh, goodness gracious.
Hey,
I mean,
Biggie was right. More money, more problems.
More money, more problems, right? And it's true though, and they live their life in a fishbowl. And there's so much pressure that comes with that. Marriage and family is such a beautiful blessing, but it's hard. And to have every little thing, everything you wear, decision you make, how you look at each other, how something comes off. I mean, just living with that pressure all the time, it takes a toll. And I do love that, from we could go on about lots of different issues, but I love that it seems to be from this interview. And again, we're not behind closed doors, but I think they are trying to prioritize their family, and that's awesome. I mean, their relationship, and then their children. I mean, she's pregnant with number 2, and I won't give away, watch the program, because she says what they're having, which is pretty exciting. But, it's just, I think that's awesome, because that's what we're called to do as husbands and wives and moms and dads, is we need to prioritize our family.
Yeah. And, it's going to look different. Again, their life, you might look and say, oh gosh, there's nothing I can learn from their life because their life is so different than mine. But again, a lot of these struggles are just regular human struggles. And what they did to say, honestly, nobody in our family, Harry's saying, has ever really moved away, or there've been very few examples of that over the centuries of the monarchy. But maybe for your family, this could be a takeaway. Maybe for your marriage, the sake of your marriage, you need to at least temporarily consider moving away from where you are. I'm telling you, for us, and it was a completely different set of sort of pressures. We were not part of a royal family in any.
Not even close, guys.
Not even close. But we both were in an area. Ashley had never had anybody from her immediate family for generations ever move away from where she grew up. And we felt like the best thing for our marriage, and what kind of God was leading us to do early on in our marriage,
and a job opportunity,
was to move. And it was hard. We were moving with one little kid and pregnant with a second to a place where we didn't have any family support. We didn't know any babysitters. We were going to be starting over. And that proved to be, that move 15 years ago almost, I think the single best decision we ever made for our marriage, because it forced us to lean into God, lean into each other, and really create our own family unit. Yeah. And I'm not saying you can't have a healthy marriage if you live right next to everybody's, parents and extended family. We love our parents. We love our extended family. We visit often. Yeah, we're going next weekend to see them. But it helped us so much to solidify and do what the Bible calls leaving and cleaving together. That for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother, join to his wife, the two will become one flesh. That the physical act of leaving can sometimes do wonders to help bring you closer together.
It really can. I know that seems so scary for some watching this, but sometimes that's what God calls you to do. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he says, bloom where you're planted right now. And sometimes with jobs, we don't want to go, but we have to go. But it's always an opportunity to cleave to each other. And through every season, God gives you opportunities to learn how to cleave to each other. And sometimes it's really fighting for that, fighting for that unity. And I felt like I didn't know what I was going to get out of this interview. And I thought it really had a lot of insights into just marriage in general and family in general. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you can check it out. We're not paid sponsors of CBS or
No.
Oprah did not text us and ask us to do this.
No.
Though we are going to get with Meghan and Harry for lunch later.
Yeah,
follow up.
Our random friends Meghan and Harry.
Yeah. We don't actually know these people. And so, we're not doing this to just comment on the royals' lives. But we always want to be a safe place to have conversation about what people are already talking about, and then bringing the national conversation, the global conversation back to how does this affect my marriage? What can I learn? What can I learn? And we should always be learning and apply it at my house, right? Yes. My house might not be Windsor Castle, but our castle, our house, so that we can have the kind of marriage that we're meant to have.
That's right.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hey, subscribe to this channel if you don't mind, and leave comments. We love reading that stuff. You can also check us out on the Naked Marriage Podcast, and go to xomarriage.com for all the good stuff.
That's right. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.